Hey guys, I'm Officer Gray. I work with Lubbock Animal Services. This right here, this is my cat. His name's Colonel Fuzz. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about house cats, feral cats, and cats' effects on wildlife populations locally as well as within the United States. You may be asking yourself, well, what's the deal with cats? Why are we needing to talk about them and their effect on native wildlife and the environment? And the fact is, your cat isn't much different from the large cats you see over in Africa as well as Asia. Things like tigers and lions, they all have very common ancestors. The domestic cat, as we know them, the scientific name being Felis catus, domesticated from wild cats over in Middle East thousands of years ago, as well as somewhere in Egypt as well. There's some debate on when exactly cats were domesticated by humans versus if it were the cats themselves that domesticated us, as most people say. Most research will say that cats were domesticated around 12,000 years ago, meaning your little house cat Snowball shares a lot of the same genetic makeup as a lot of wild cats over in the Middle East as well as Egypt. Now, I myself keep a lot of animals as pets, and I've said it for years and years. If for some reason I had to get rid of absolutely everything, but I could only keep one of any animal, it would be the house cat. There's something about them. In fact, they're the most popular of all pets in the United States, at least. What I really want to talk to everybody today about is the importance of keeping your cat indoors, as well as some of the differences between your average indoor house cat as well as feral cats. A feral cat is essentially a domesticated cat that is grown up away from human contact. They're not socialized. They're going to run away and they're going to hide from humans. They're strictly outdoors. And these cats are an apex predator, as we're about to talk about as well. A feral cat, and to the same extent, your indoor house cats, are non-native invasive species to the United States. This essentially means that these animals weren't here before humans essentially put them here. And what that means is they are not a part of nature the same way that a lot of our local wildlife around here is. There's some debate in the scientific community as far as when domesticated cats made the trip from those places over in Africa. Humans had domesticated them in Europe, came over to the United States, and now we have a population of those animals that are here that really weren't here to begin with sometime prior to that. Now, remember when I said that your indoor house cats as well as feral cats essentially all originate from the same wild cat, which is Felis sylvestris. So that means your cat shares the same genetic makeup as these wild cats from Eastern Europe, Middle East, as well as Egypt and places in Africa. That means these cats all essentially came from a wild origin. And because of that, cats are always going to maintain a sense of wildness about them. A lot of ways in the same way your dog is always going to have some part wolf genetics somewhere in its ancestry. This may not necessarily seem like a big deal, but when you take into consideration that cats are apex predators, that has a significant role to play on wildlife. In fact, being the apex predator that they are, these feral cats are essentially killing a lot of native wildlife that there is here in the United States. In fact, it is said that cats are actually the number one human-related cause of death in a lot of species of birds every year. In fact, according to an article written in 2015 by the American Bird Conservancy, it's estimated that annually, so that's every year, almost 2.5 billion birds, as well as close to 6.9 billion mammals each year are killed by free-roaming cats or feral cats. In fact, as of 2015, in the same article, it was estimated that somewhere between 33 or 63 different species of animals have gone extinct just with the introduction of feral cats. Now, this in and of itself may not seem to be a big deal, and you may be wondering what that really means or why it should matter to us. And essentially, it can be broken down into a lot of different categories. One, it's going to hurt biodiversity. Biodiversity is shown to play a role in not only food security, but also the control of different kind of infectious diseases. For example, one of the birds that I was speaking about, which is predated on by cats a lot, is going to be a songbird. Songbirds are known, a single songbird can eat up to 300 insects on a hot summer day. And a lot of the diet is going to consist of insects that can carry infectious diseases. So they're going to be transmitters of these diseases. Think, for example, mosquitoes, which can carry things like the West Nile virus. When you break it down like that, when animals are killing the animals that are eating these things, that's really going to show a negative effect in the biodiversity as well as the infectious disease control that other animals already had in place. This not only applies to different infectious diseases that can be transmitted by things like insects, but also the cats themselves. In fact, it is said that cats are actually the number one, the top carriers of rabies amongst all domesticated pets. And the transmission of rabies spread by cats is said to actually spread 2 times faster than that of dogs. Rabies is a viral disease that is spread by the saliva of an already infected animal. This is going to cause inflammation and swelling in the brain in humans and most mammals. According to the New Orleans Advocate, in 2018, there's estimated to be between 60 and 160 million feral cats in the United States alone. So what can we as a community do to help stop the spread of feral cats and free-roaming outdoor cats? Well, it's actually quite simple. The first thing being to always vaccinate your animals against the rabies virus. The second would be to have your animals spayed or neutered. And third, please make sure your animal doesn't roam outside. Your cat does have those wild genes in place. However, due to domestication throughout the years, your cat essentially needs to be an indoor animal. It may be very tempting, and in fact, sometimes it can be quite fun to watch your cats in their, quote, natural habitat or their natural way of life. Watching a cat chase another cat or stalk down a bird, it can be very fascinating. But remember that that's a very huge negative impact on the native wildlife. Even spaying and neutering your pets, although that may stop them from reproducing more cats in the wild, or cats that are left in the wild to become feral, or cats that just never ended up getting adopted for any other reason, that's not only causing a problem with the number of cats in any community, but that's also directly damaging the wildlife. Even spaying and neutering these animals, your cat is still a predator, and your cat will still predate on different types of birds, mammals, and even reptiles in your environment. And this can do just catastrophic damage to your native population of wildlife. Cats make wonderful pets. Cats are definitely better left indoors where they can enjoy their humans, they can enjoy the comfort of being inside, and can be away from any harmful diseases outside, such as rabies, or being left exposed to things like the cold, or being hit by a vehicle. Always ensure your cat is up to date on its rabies virus, and please have your cat spayed and neutered. We get to share our world with these amazing creatures, but please show your native wildlife some respect and keep your domesticated cats indoors.